Today we are going to talk about the substitution method. Now the substitution method is used when we are not able to determine what the solution is from just graphing the two lines. And so today we are going to talk about that, and everything that I am writing you should be writing on your investigation homework. So let's jump into our problem. So let's say we have the equation negative x minus 3y equals negative 3. And we also have y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Now the substitution method tells us that we need to substitute something in for the equation. Now to do that, we have to solve for one variable. Now you may already notice that we already have one equation solved for one variable. Now that equation is the one that has y equals. So here's our equation that's already in y equals. And then we're going to take this and plug it in for y. So when we plug it in, we have negative x minus 3. But remember, we're plugging this whole thing in for y. So I'm going to put parentheses there and plug in that whole equation. So then we have 2/3 x plus 4. And then this whole thing is going to equal negative 3. Now we have one variable in our equation, so every time you use substitution, you want to get one variable in your equation, and we're going to solve for that variable. So we are going to solve for x. So we don't have to do anything to this negative x guy, but we have to take this negative 3 and distribute it to every term inside those parentheses. Remember your distribution rules. Negative 3 times 2/3 x is negative 2x. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And that all equals negative 3. And then we have to combine like terms. So we have two variables here on the same side of the equation, so we can just put those together. So negative x minus 2x is negative 3x minus 12. And that equals negative 3. Now we have a multi-step equation that we can solve for. The first thing we need to do is get x by itself, and in order to do that, we have to add our 12 over to the other side. Plus 12 plus 12. When we do that, we get negative 3x equals negative 3 plus 12, which is 9. And we're almost done. We almost have x. So we have to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. So x equals 9 divided by negative 3, which is negative 3. So we found our x. But remember, in our original equations, we had x and y. So now we have to solve for our y. Move this up a little bit. If we have x equals negative 3, and we have our equations, move that out of the way. So we have x equals negative 3, and we have our equations. We can take x and plug it in for either one of these equations. It does not matter which one. Now I'm going to take the easy road and solve it for my y equals. So that way I don't have to move anything around the equation. So I'm going to take my negative 3 and plug it in for x. When we do that, we get y equals 2/3. And then my x is now negative 3 plus 4. And then I will solve for y. So I will combine like terms. So 2/3 times negative 3 is, so these go to negative 2 plus 4. So y equals 2. So we found our x and we found our y. So the solution to this problem is negative 3, 2. You should always write your answer in a point form if you're given x and y. In a word problem, we are going to state what x is and what y is. Now once you do that, we have to always check our answers. Always check your answers. So let's check our answers. So we had x equals -3 and y equals 2 of the equations negative x minus 3y equals -3 and y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Okay, when we check our equations, we have to check both equations. So we have to plug in x and y for both of them and make sure that they work out. So let's do the first one. We have our x is -3. So we have negative times -3 minus 3 times our y, and our y is 2. That is going to drive me crazy. And that all equals -3. So let's check, does this equal -3? Well, negative times a -3 is a +3. -3 times 2 is -6. Does that equal -3? You betcha. So that one's perfect. That one's good. So now we have to check the other one, the y equals 2/3 x plus 4. So we have y, which is 2. So 2 equals 2/3 times our x, which is -3. And then we have plus 4. Does this equal 2? Well, we have 2 equals, this goes to -2. 2/3 times -3 is -2 plus 4. -2 plus 4 is 2. So that works. Therefore, the solution to these two equations is -3, 2. Okay. You should have all your work worked out on your investigation homework. I will provide enough space for you to write everything down. If you have any questions, please come to class ready to ask those questions. We will be going over more examples in class. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you understand how to substitute.